Today I wanted to do something a little bit different and show you guys how we can go from your video looking like this to looking like this. As a reactor, the most important part is to just be authentic. Whether you are a fan of K-pop or whatever content you're reacting to, and you can provide joy to people for them to watch a reaction and feel as if they're watching it with a friend, that's beautiful. If you're someone who can provide extra layer of knowledge, whether it's the video editors, the directors, cinematographer, vocalist, music teacher reacts, etc., who can provide an extra layer of information and knowledge. I don't feel like I'm the most extravagant, the most loudest, the most emotional, and the most out there reactor in K-pop. But at the same time, I do feel like I'm very passionate about the things that I'm reacting to, and I want to understand it, which is why I can take these 3 to 4 minute songs and turn them into like these 20-25 minute reactions, just trying to understand the story. And I was fortunate enough to have people be interested in me being interested in the story and trying to understand it and interpret it in my own way. Some people may not like it, some people did, and I was fortunate enough to be at a point where we are above 75,000 subscribers, so I'm incredibly grateful. So I think I'm doing something right, and as long as you're doing what you love, keep on doing you. Now, if you want to improve your videos, you're already very, very passionate, but you want that extra little something, which is something that I've wanted for the longest time. I always change the way my videos look. Lighting is one of the biggest and the most important things there is, even more so important than the actual camera that you are using. Now, as far as the camera goes, I'm using the 6D Mark II from Canon with a 50mm 1.4 lens. Now, the 6D Mark II is not a camera that I would recommend in 2024 due to its various limitations when it comes to video, the lack of 4K, obviously, to the dynamic range, to the fact that you cannot use this camera with clean HDMI signal, which means that you cannot use autofocusing in your videos when you are plugging this camera into your capture card. So everything that I have on this channel has been focused manually, and if I move around, as you can see, I'm going out of focus and I cannot let the camera follow me, because if I do, everything that is on screen of your camera will be translated to the screen in OBS. There are cameras such as the Sony A6000 series, the A6000, 66, 64, and etc., that have clean HDMI signal. So everything that you see on your camera screen will not be translated to OBS. So you will be able to use autofocusing. Now, the other thing about video is that usually the best camera that you have is the one that is the closest to you, which is our phones. Most phones nowadays, even if your phone is a couple of years old, you most likely can hopefully shoot at the very least at 720p. As long as you can shoot in manual mode and be able to control the amount of light that gets into your sensor, you should be okay to go, at least for a little while, before things pick up and you realize that it's something that you want to do a little bit more seriously, and then upgrade and get a dedicated camera for your content creation. Now, the other thing is lighting, probably the most important thing other than audio. Now, if your video was shot on a potato but still sounds pretty good, people most likely still watch it, whereas if your video sounds bad but looks good, people are probably not going to bother watching it. It's all about the audio. It's one of the most important parts in your videos, and there is a whole bunch of options. You do not need anything expensive. I actually have my very first microphone that I upgraded to from my USB microphone, which was a Blue Spark Digital that I got 10 years ago. And I actually got a bad unit. It was supposed to be a pretty decent microphone, but it has some weird issues, and I wasn't able to do anything about it, which is why my videos in the very beginning didn't really sound that great. I then upgraded to a microphone that currently costs on Amazon about $90, the PreSonus PD70. This is kind of cool, but at the same time, not really, because if you want an XLR microphone, you also need an audio interface, and an audio interface will cost a little bit more than the actual microphone. I have the Scarlett 2i2 from Focusrite, which is, I believe it's like the first gen. I got this like 10 years ago. The audio interface itself can cost anywhere from $100 to $150 at the very least. A lot of people might be better off in getting a USB microphone, which most of them in 2024, there's lots of options. They sound pretty damn good. And with audio processing, you can make a lot of cheaper microphones sound a lot more expensive. It's all about learning the EQ and just being able to know your way around Adobe Audition, or even like using some plugins in OBS. There's plenty of videos where you can find that out and basically learn what settings are best for your voice to sound a little bit more quote unquote podcasty, or maybe you don't care about it. You could just plug in a USB microphone and you are good to go. There's a lot of companies like the Moana, Fine companies who make some really decent microphones for a fraction of the price. You do not need to get anything like the Shure MV7s or the SM7Bs, which is the, the famous Michael Jackson who recorded the Thriller album on it. You don't really need that. And my microphone that I'm using is the SE Dynacaster, which is a very, very good microphone that gives me an amazing sound. And then with audio processing, I'm able to take that sound to the next level. And in my opinion, it sounds pretty good. There's also lavalier microphones that you can just use with your phone because they have a USB-C connection, or if you have a camera, you can plug it in with a 3.5mm connector. Now, as far as lighting goes, this is an interesting thing because lighting is something that I'm very much obsessed about, but my wallet does not allow me to fulfill that obsession, and it's probably a good thing. The most important light is the key light, the one that is lighting me right now. The light that I'm using is from Aperture Amaran, the 60XS light, paired with a $50 softbox, which is very, very small in its dimension because my room is incredibly small, so I can't get anything too big. And I have a light stand, which is about another $70 to be able to hold the light and the softbox without tipping over. So it needs to be fairly heavy duty, but it's not the most expensive one still. Now, that is basically the most expensive light that I have. The rest of the lights that I have surrounding me are actually combined cost maybe $120. And there's 4 lights behind me, 2 of which you can see, which are practical / slightly accent lights, but the other light is being motivated by the prop lights. So there is the tube lights that you see in the background. These are the Ulanzi One lights, I think technically is the term for them. I've had them for probably over a year. They're not the most reliable. I would definitely suggest getting something a little bit better. Both of these lights are working at literally 10% power. And it's just to give me a bit of an accent and be a little bit of a prop. Now, there's a blue light coming from here, which is motivated by this light. And there's a warm light up there, which is motivated by the one light. The blue light is actually a Godox floor light. It's something that costs about $40. I will show you a picture of it. $40 to $50, fairly decent, but a fairly harsh light. It's more of a light that you would use to light up a background. And not necessarily yourself, but I'm kind of like making do with what I have. The other light is actually my first light that I had when I upgraded from having no lights in the beginning of this channel, and it is a 15-inch USB ring light. There's another ring light right there that you can barely see. That was the second light that I purchased together with the first ring light. And my first setup looked like the video that you're about to see right now. This was using both of those ring lights, which again, combined, the ring lights cost about $40, $40 to $45, depending on where you buy them. And you can probably buy better lighting nowadays because this was like a year and a half ago. So you can definitely get away with something much, much better, with better quality. But again, I'm making do with what I have. And this is how my videos look. And that's pretty much it. Don't obsess over about gear when you're starting out. When you're starting out, especially with content like reaction content, especially if you're doing like music reactions, the most important part is to start. Usually, when it comes to content creation, there's a lot of people saying that be prepared for your first 100 videos to look like shit before you start improving, but just get that experience out, get that habit out of creating content. But with reaction channels, it all depends on how you feel and how your face expresses those feelings. So your very first video could be very, very successful. It may not look the most pleasing because you're using your phone or you're using a ring light to light yourself and you're not doing it the correct way to make it more flattering. But it doesn't really matter. With reaction content, you can literally make your first ever video and it could be very successful. I am a perfect example of that because my 7th or 8th video on this channel was my very first K-pop reaction. I reacted to Lisa, my video looked like this, and yet that video went on to gain like 70,000 plus views, over 1,000 subscribers within a week of getting into K-pop, into Lisa and then Blackpink. My channel went from 25 subscribers to 5,000 subscribers. And then it developed into a passion with me starting to talk about, oh man, these visuals and Kill This Love look pretty freaking symbolic. Like the storytelling is so freaking cool, the coloring and everything talks about emotions. And that just ignited something where I wanted to talk about the things that intrigued me within the K-pop music videos that I was reacting to. And then the channel started to get better and better and better. So I feel like with reaction channels, all you really need is your phone or whatever camera you have laying around and just start. And then if you have more passion and wanting to turn it into something a little bit more serious, that's when you can start adding some stuff to your videos to make them look a little bit more professional. But at the same time, it is not 100% necessary. You can just use one light, just upgrade to one light to have a consistent look so you don't have to rely on your fucking window like I was in the beginning of my way. When I first reacted to Stray Kids, I had to rely on my ceiling light and the video looks fucking terrible because I was shooting at nighttime and I had no natural light coming in. So just get one ring light for all or one LED light for 30 bucks to be able to light yourself and get a consistent look. That's all you need. But if you want to improve and you're passionate about the way your videos look and maybe you want them to look a little bit more quote unquote cinematic, you can still get away with fairly inexpensive gear such as the lights behind me. And I actually used those same lights 2 weeks ago because my main light, my key light broke and I had to get a new one, the same model, and I used those one lights that you see behind me. I used one of them to light up my face and one of them as fill light. And those videos turned out to be just fine. And they still looked pretty good and people weren't complaining. If you guys found this video interesting, insightful, or anything, let me know in the comment section. Make sure to like it and I will catch you all in the next one. Be well and safe wherever you are. And I'll see you all next time.